guests, and my fellow Toastmasters. It all happened last September. I was in a rut. My life was going nowhere. And my wife said, "You need a hobby or a sport, something to get your life back on track." So I went down to the sporting goods store. I thought I'd take a gander at the mountain of possibilities. I stopped at the tennis section first, but I don't know why. I never did have a love for that game. It just didn't court my interest. The net result was, tennis just isn't my racket. And then something lured me over to the fishing section. They had a real good sale on the fishing rods. But if I was to buy all that fishing gear, I would have to go to the anchor bank and float alone. And you know what? Fishing just isn't my line. I just couldn't tackle that sport. And then I shot straight as an arrow, right to the archery section. Ah, bow hunting. That's the sport for me. I bought a compound bow, model XKE, 80-pound draw, 36-inch arrows. I bought a 25-foot ladder tree stand. And I fastened that tree stand to a big oak tree using a ratchet strap, nice and tight and secure. And of course I had to buy all the extra accessories. Well, when finally morning came for the season to open, I got dressed early and went out to my tree stand. That tree stand is located in the middle of a field of tall elephant grass. And I slithered my way through that tall elephant grass. And I began to climb my tree stand. I got to the top rung, and I heard a snap. And I began to fall backwards out of my tree stand. I did the backstroke. In midair. Olympic style. And I fell flat on my back. In that soft, pillowy elephant grass. And I looked up. There's my tree stand. Hung up in the branches above. Sitting on top of my tree stand was a little gray squirrel. He had threads from my ratchet strap dangling from the corners of his mouth. He was looking down at me. And he was laughing. Yeah, he was. I got up. I looked at him. But, you know, I didn't get mad. I put that tree stand back up against the tree, and I refastened it with what I had left of my ratchet strap. And as I stood on that lofty perch, with my handy-dandy dough call, yeah, my handy-dandy buck call, whoop, still in me. I was ready for the big one. And it wasn't long, and here he came. The 29.5 point buck. And he stopped right in front of my tree stand. And I pulled back that mighty weapon. And I was just ready to launch that lethal projectile when I heard a snap. And I began to fall head first out of my tree stand. And that trophy trotted down the trail. I did a swan dive into the pipe position with a double twist, Olympic style, and did a belly flop right in the middle of that soft, pilly elephant grass. Not Olympic style. And I looked up. There is my tree stand, and hung up in the branches above. Sitting on top of my tree stand was that little gray squirrel. He had fresh threads from my ratchet strap dangling from the corners of his mouth. Looking down at me, laughing. didn't get mad. I just figured that, you know what? Bow hunting is not the sport for me. So I went back to the sporting goods store, and I stopped at the bowling section. But you know what? Bowling just didn't strike my fancy. I just couldn't spare the time. You know what? Bowling just isn't up my alley. So I went over to the golf section, and I putted around a little bit, but I just never had a drive for that game. I couldn't get the swing of it. And man, the cost of those golf clubs, kind of teed me off. But there it was on the back wall, the answer to my prayers. It was a Remington, fully automatic, double-barrel shotgun. Ta-ha. Squirrel hunting. That's the sport for me. You see, ladies and gentlemen, it doesn't get paid to get mad. And I didn't get mad, but I'm going to get even. Toastmasters.